Well, first of all, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you
Thank you
on.
very much.
And well, the first thing I was going to ask you was if you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your business.
Yeah, of course. I'm Rosie Hay, and my business is Rosie Hay Ceramics. I run a small pottery from my garden studio in South Queensferry. From my home, I set it up at the end of 2019, so just before lockdown, which was great. And yeah, I just work from home now, and yeah, make pottery, which is pretty cool.
How did you first begin your business?
I was doing pottery classes, quite a lot of pottery classes, in Edinburgh, in the Edinburgh Ceramics workshop, and I kept signing up and doing more and more because I just took to it and loved it, and yeah, I just really wanted to keep learning, and at that point then there was a few of us doing that, just kept signing up, and so they set up a membership within the ceramics Edinburgh Ceramics Workshop. They set up a membership that people could sign up to and become members, that you could have access to the studio to come and make as much as you wanted to and as regularly as you wanted to. So I signed up as a member, um, and kind of came and went as and when I could. And then I had a lot of stuff happen in my life. People got sick and stuff like that. So I didn't have as much time. So I ended up having to cancel my membership. But the teacher, Trisha Tom, who's a very amazing potter, she was my teacher. She set up her own studio in her own garden. And so having been out of pottery for a while, I really missed it because it's just a really I find it quite a therapeutic thing to do. It's very calming. It's very meditative. Do you know what I
Relaxing.
mean? Yeah, I find it is anyway. And I really missed it. And because there was so much kind of going on in my own personal life, I just felt like I really wanted to get back to my pottery. So I went back to Trisha because I went and learned with her directly then, because I just felt like I had more to learn. I had a lot more to learn. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I went and did lots more classes in Trisha's studio, which was like smaller group of people, and yeah, just kept going and just really progressed with my making, to the point that I just wanted to do it more and more and more than I was even getting to do at the classes. So eventually I just decided, I made the decision, I either carry on doing classes or I'm going to have to step it up somehow myself. So I invested in a wheel to begin with, had it here in my house in my spare room. Oh yeah, I had like all stuff everywhere to try and protect the walls from clay splatter. But I still didn't have the facilities to fire my work. Do you know what I mean? I had to still, like Trisha, bless her, did allow me to transport pottery to her and she would fire it for me. But it wasn't very practical. Like pottery is breakable, and it's before it's fired, it's very fragile and stuff. So, but yeah, and also you were kind of trying to work fitting your pottery in around everyone else's classwork and stuff like that. So it kind of got to a point where I'm like, look, if I want to go further with this, I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and build a studio. So yeah, so I built a studio in my garden, invested in a kiln, because you need, like, if you want to fire your work, you need a kiln, which is a pretty much a big oven that gets very, very hot. But yeah, I had to just go for it. And I thought, you know what, there's no point in just thinking about it, just do it. And I learned like that from people in my life that unfortunately passed away, that life's too short to just sit and think about things, just get on and do them. So yeah, so that's what I did. And yep, since the end of 2019, I have my studio, and I was gonna just kind of edge my way into maybe selling my work, but it just happened that opportunities came up locally very soon after my studio was set up, and a couple of people asked me would I bring my pottery along to events to sell it. And yeah, before I knew it, I was selling my work. So that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, I was good. I was going to ask you that. How did you find your first set of customers?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really wasn't feeling very confident in myself about selling my work. It's one thing to make pottery, but I personally wasn't feeling like I was ready to sell it. But I think that's one of the things I've learned along the way is, and I've heard other people saying it too, you don't have to wait to be perfect to put yourself, or to put your work or whatever out there. Just do it. Just get out there and start. Because when do you start? Do you know what I mean? It's like, because what I was thinking is, oh, I'm not ready, my work's not good enough. Other people were like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And I love that. And can I buy that? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I just found like it was a local high school fair. It was a local class I was going to. They were having an open day as well, and they just said they wanted to have some people selling some stuff. So they were my first couple of opportunities. Yeah, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. I haven't really haven't really looked back. Yeah, it's been great.
I think that's a common factor between the people we've spoken to so far. Is the most important part is just starting the business, and then from that it gets the ground running.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful to those people who did tell me to just go, just try it, just give it a try, because I personally was holding myself back, I felt. But when they kind of, were like, just give it a try, and I did, you know what I mean? It gives you the confidence then to go, maybe I can actually, do you know what I mean? And it just will. And with pottery, like when you're selling it, then I was running out of pieces. So I'm like, oh, I need to make more. So, I'd make more. And then word got around like that I was selling my work where I hadn't been. So then I had people getting in touch with me, kind of going, oh, could you make me this? Could you make me that? And it went down that direction to begin with, that it was like people I was kind of making to people's demand as such. So it was a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. Over time now, I've tried to kind of swing it back that I'm kind of more in control of what I'm making. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I'm still learning, I'm still I feel finding my way through it all, because like with lockdown, that just blew it all up in a different direction.
Yeah, not an easy time. Not an easy time to begin a business.
No, no, it wasn't. And it felt like you kind of had to just think on your feet and think quickly of like, well, what am I going to do then? Because I had just started like that to put myself out there at fairs. And the very weekend that lockdown was happening, it hadn't happened, but it was in the news. And I was booked into a fair in Edinburgh. And it was like, oh God, what do I do? Like, do I go? Don't I go? Are you being irresponsible? Are you not? But I was like, I can't let people down, because I've advertised that I'm going to be here. So I went along, but as I expected, it was a disaster. Like there was literally a handful of people turned up for this particular market, and I was gutted. But at the same time, I'm like, I understood. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of, this is something nobody's experienced before. So it was a bit of a disappointment, but I was like, it is what it is. But then you kind of thought, oh, it'll just be for a few weeks. It's not going to be for long. But then as it went on, it was like, oh God, what am I going to do? So um, luckily for me, because I did have a website set up and stuff like that, online sales started to become quite the thing. And because people were at home and working at home, it seemed to be that people were treating themselves to stuff, like to handmade pottery. And people were buying and supporting small businesses and stuff like that. And well, that's what I felt anyway, that I had huge support throughout lockdown online. It was great, and I was busier than I'd ever been. I was actually in my shed constantly working, never had quiet time. It was actually busier, than I imagined I could be. And yeah, I was kept really busy, and then selling loads online and all that kind of thing. But then yeah, it got to a point then when lockdown kind of started to come, everyone started to come out of lockdown. I noticed a change then in that the shops opened back up the online sales dropped off, and it was like, oh God, what am I going to do now? So I've kind of found like I'm still in that kind of pivot stage. It's like keeping on having to pivot and figure out what direction to go in, because like that, I literally only started out right at the end of normal life before COVID, have been through all of the lockdowns and coming out the other side of it now. There's so much going on in the world now. It's like, oh my God, like, like cost of living crisis, wars, Brexit, all of these things have huge impacts on how a small business like mine, anyway, I get the feeling it's the same for a lot of small businesses.
Do you feel that starting your business at such a difficult time during lockdown has actually made it easier to adapt now because you've already overcome some of the biggest challenges?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know any different. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I have nothing to compare it to. I don't know how it would have went. The angle I was going down was going out to fairs and stuff like that. I have done that this past year. I have been at so many fairs because, like I say, my online sales kind of dipped off when the shops opened back up because people wanted to get out and get back out into the world. And I noticed, and a lot of other small businesses I know noticed their online sales drop. So like I just don't have a give into it attitude. I don't know. I just seem to kind of be, well, I'm keeping on going. This is what I'm doing. So how am I gonna keep doing this? So that's why this year, and because like I didn't really get out there, and I think it's good when I've got like a product that you can put in front of people for them to see, to feel. Like people with, particularly with like handmade pottery, it's not the cheapest mug you're going to buy or the cheapest bowl you're going to buy. Do you know what I mean? Like people um pay more for handmade items. That's because it takes a lot longer to make than your Tesco mugs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot more work goes into it. So to be able to put your products in front of people and let them touch them, pick them up, have a feel for them, like you get a lot of feedback from people saying it's nice to be able to feel the product or see it up close before they invest in it and stuff. So there's that aspect of it too, has been really good. And just meeting your customers, there's like lots of people I've kind of met through social media almost, over the year, over COVID and stuff like that. You've never met face to face, but like sometimes when you're out at fairs, either customers or other makers, even other potters, we're getting to meet up and have chats, and it's really nice. Actually, it's nice to just get out there with your products out to meet people.
Where did you first hear about these fairs?
um Most of them probably on social media. I mean, I've been spending a lot of my efforts on Instagram and kind of Facebook, really. I have got a TikTok account, much to the disgust of my two teenage sons. They're horrified, like, oh my God. But I don't
I'll need to check that out after this.
yeah, I don't use it as often. Like yeah, it's for the youngsters, I think. But at the same time, I'm not on there dancing or anything. I'm posting about my
I
pot.
was going to say that I might give it a miss if it's just you dancing with some pottery.
Yeah, yeah, dancing around my mugs. No, you can be rest assured that's not the case. But no, yeah, it's just trying to figure it out because like that, I had kind of just gone with the Instagram thing. More so initially, I set it up just as a diary for myself, just to have a record of photos of the work that I was making. But like even since I've just joined Instagram a few years ago, it's completely hugely changed, I feel. Do you know what I mean? And it
It's
really
ever
has
changing, isn't it?
become, yeah, it is. Yeah, you have to have your wits about you with with Instagram at the moment. It's hard. It is hard to keep track of it all, but I'm trying to keep up with it with reels and all this kind of stuff. Um, But yeah, it's a good it is good marketing tool. So, it is. And I have had a lot of customers, find me on there and order from me through there, or have found my website, and stuff like that. Like, some people want commissioned orders, they want specific things made. So they'll come into your, DMs and have a chat with you there and stuff. So yeah, it is it's worth my while putting the effort in there. Do you know what I mean? And I have some really, nice followers who keep up and are interested to keep in touch and know, what's going on and stuff like that. So yeah, I do try to be regularly posting on Instagram and Facebook. I kind of tie the two of them in, and occasionally on TikTok. But I do hear about a lot of markets on there, and also through word of mouth, from other small businesses. Like, sometimes when you're at markets, you get chatting to other makers and they'll know about a market that's coming up and stuff like that. So it's quite a friendly atmosphere, and quite a lot of nice people out attending the markets and stuff like that. It's quite friendly, so it's quite good to mingle and chat with people who are in the same, maybe not necessarily the same business. Some are, some aren't, but you're all dealing with the same kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So, same kind of situation, and dealing with changing algorithms and fares and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, just trying to figure it out, because like that, there's been so much change in the world, and just, people's attitude to buying at the moment. And Brexit has caused mayhem for small businesses, like with trying to post your stuff out with the UK now is problematic with charges. And I'm like that, I'm from Ireland. Even to post gifts to my family, I'm finding they're getting charged on the other end.
It's just made it more complicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's made it more difficult, and you kind of have to. I've seen a lot of businesses actually just reducing their postage to the UK only at the moment, because it's a minefield trying to figure it out, and the costs of how much it's going to cost to post to places. It's yeah, it's a bit crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a website. Did you
Yeah.
create that on your own? And where did you create that? And
Yeah, my husband helped me to set it up. He's quite into all of that kind of stuff. He runs his own business as well, um, doing all kind of digital art and stuff, and websites and all that kind of stuff. So he set it up for me initially, and now I've kind of taken it over and update it, because it's always changing. I needed something that's easy to access. So it's a Wix website that I've signed up to, and then I've got an app on my phone that I can just edit, quite easily. So you can upload new products and input all your information through an app on my phone, which is great. And then if I need to actually go in and change like layouts or anything like that, you can access it on the desktop or whatever. But yeah, so it's quite good, because I'm so not into all that kind of end of things. It just, but I've had to just get over myself and learn everything that you need to do. You have to. It's like there's no point in having a website and not knowing how to use it, So like, my husband was trying to, do it for me, and I was like quite adamant that I'm like, no, I need to do it myself. There's no point in you knowing it and I don't know how to do it. I need to do this for myself, So yeah, so a bit stubborn like that. I have to kind of, but I'm like, it's my business. That there's no point in not understanding it. So yeah, I kind of just, I do all of that myself now. I just update and delete stuff, like, because sometimes I'll make individual products, or sometimes I'll make batches of stuff, but I might decide I'm not going to go with that. I'm very much trying to figure out ranges, and try out different designs and all of that kind of stuff. I love just experimenting with different glazes and colors and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's an ever-changing array of stuff on my website.
one thing I was going to ask you was, you've touched on it a bit, but what inspired you to sort of develop the idea for your business?
I just love making pottery. It's very relaxing. I don't know. I just took to the classes and just took to pottery in a way that I've never had such an interest in something before, and I just couldn't imagine not doing it. Because I got to that point of I'm doing classes, I'm doing classes, I'm doing classes, but I'm like, I want to do more than just classes. But I was like, I don't have anywhere to do that. So it was a case of invest in the equipment or give up on it. And I just literally couldn't imagine not doing pottery. I don't know, I just couldn't imagine not doing it. The bug bit and I was just like, this is what I want to do. And like, which shocked me because I was 40, like I was 41 when I built my studio, um, and went down this path. And I would always have thought at by that age you should have had your life figured out. You should know where you're going, and you should
It's never too late.
no. But that's what I've learned is that it's never too late to start something. I would never have imagined I would have done this in a million years. But like I said, stuff happened in my life. Bad, you know, bad things happened and people passed away, and it just turned my life upside down. And I just was like, life is for living, and take chances and do what you want to do, what makes you happy. And pottery makes me very happy. Making pottery, it's very relaxing. It's very I find it just very soothing. I get absolutely lost in my own thoughts, like when I'm making my pottery, and I could spend hours in my studio, like just hours and hours and hours, and it doesn't even feel like I'm working. I'm like, people pay me to do this, it's like I love it. I absolutely love it. And I just go out to my shed now. I turn on my podcasts on my phone and I just get stuck in, and honestly hours can go by and I'm just making pots, and I just love it. Yeah, I don't know what I would do without it's yeah, I just enjoy it, and I think when you find something that you really enjoy, go for it if you can, if you can. I mean, I was in a lucky position in that my husband has a job, do you know what I mean? And he is the main earner in the family and stuff like that. And I had been working part-time for him and his partner in their business, doing all their admin and stuff like that. I was working part-time when I built my studio. And so I was kind of doing both for a while. But then, like I said, throughout lockdown, it just took off with the pottery. I was so busy, and it got to a point where I was saying, lads, I can't keep going like this. And it was a case of, I knew in my mind and my heart, I'm absolutely not giving up my pottery. It's like, if anything has to go here, it's the admin. So yeah, I handed in my notice with the guys, and just decided I'm going to make a go of this. I'm going to make like a proper go of it. And yeah, so I've kind of
It's great you made that decision, because I think you see so many people, I see it with some of my friends and things like that. They go through their lives and their jobs and they hate it, and they're just doing it because it's a steady paycheck.
yeah, and like I say, I don't take it for granted, um that like I did have the backup of my husband's income. I know not everybody is, in the position to have that situation. Do you know what I mean? So it is a bit different. Like for anyone on their own, I would say just be careful about that. I did have the backup of my part-time job. Um, I didn't just set up a studio, and give up my job. I did do both until I got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm in a position to do that. Do you know what I mean?
And would you advise other people to take that step rather than taking one massive step? Keep some safety there.
I think just in this current climate, it's just a bit. it wouldn't be very good advice to say, oh yeah, just pack in your job. You know, I wouldn't. You know, I would, if you can, if you have a job and you have enough time to be able to do both, I wouldn't just dump your income, because I have seen somebody do that, and they've had to, you know, with everything that's going on in the world right now, they've had to go back, you know, they've had to step back and go back to work. Do you know what I mean? Where they gave it up. So I would just be like, yes, work towards it, but I would say maybe if you can do both to begin with, just so you're not out of pocket. Because if you're starting up a business, you needing, well, for what I did anyway, I needed to buy equipment. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not just selling your products and making loads of money. Every penny was reused back into the business to buy equipment, you know. And I only kind of feel like it's this year that I'm not having to keep buying new equipment. Do you know what I mean? Because like I had bought my wheel, like, well, for me personally with pottery, the equipment's expensive, you know, like your pottery wheel, yeah, your wheel's expensive, kilns extortionate. um, and I did invest in another piece of equipment, which is called a pug mill, which is for recycling all your clay, which is another majorly expensive piece of kit. But I decided to invest in it to save time and effort and stuff like that. So like it's a big outgoing, but what that machine will save me in time in reclaiming my recycled clay, it will pay for itself over time. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, for all of these things, and like that, you've got ongoing. I've got ongoing costs of clay, glazes. Do you know all these different things? You're not you're not just selling your products and making all the profit on it. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to think of a lot of the costs involved and stuff. So that's why I'm saying just be, I would think, you know, before you quit your job to go jumping into something that you're passionate about, just make sure you've got, you know, enough financial backup within yourself to kind of just cover it, you know, because there's nothing worse than jumping in with both feet and then you have to backtrack, you know.
Especially with the outgoings of shipping abroad, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I was just getting um orders starting to come in from different countries. Like mainly I had been selling to the UK and Ireland. I had a lot of orders going to Ireland, which was great, and it wasn't an issue. Now pretty much none. because the cost of shipping is extortionate to go to Ireland, even to Ireland. But also what we've noticed was, even not even if I'm sending products, but even if I'm trying to send a gift to my family for a birthday or Christmas or anything, when it's delivered, they're getting charged. They're getting charged on the other end. So it puts people off of ordering from the UK now, you know. So not everybody, but yeah, it's messed up for me, orders from abroad really.
Are there any ways to overcome that issue, or is it a hard one?
I see a lot of small businesses. I see them advertising, like, you know, they're having an online sale or an online shop update or whatever way you want to phrase it online. And I see a lot of people saying UK only, you know, because it's trying to figure it all out, the time it takes to try. I mean, I haven't excluded foreign orders. I have it on my website, but I did look up how much it would cost to post them out, and the costs are quite expensive. So if people from the other countries go on my website to place an order, when it comes to the postal cost, because I can't afford to take the hit for the post for the postage cost. So I do pass the cost on to my customers. Um, and it probably puts them off because it's too expensive, you know, because pottery is not not everything I make is very light, so pottery would weigh more than, say, paper items or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So like pottery is a heavier product to post. So yeah, yeah, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I really don't dwell on it, to be quite honest. I'm just focusing on carrying on making my pottery and just getting it out there in whatever ways I can, for now, and just see see what next year brings.
So one thing I wanted to ask you was, how does running a business affect your family life?
um It's quite good because I work from home. I've got two teenage sons. Well, one's 19, he's nearly 20, and my youngest is 16, almost 17. So they're quite independent now, and they don't really need me so much except for lifts here and there, taxi. But before I had the kids, or not before I had the kids, before I started my pottery, I was a stay-at-home mum, because I'm from Ireland. My I don't have any family here, and my husband is Scottish, and his family, but like his family live in Scotland, but they were all working, so I didn't have childcare. So I stayed at home and looked after the kids until they were both settled well in school, and then it was like, oh, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not the type of person to just sit around and do nothing. I like to work. I do like to work. And yeah, I gave up working to raise the kids, which is a full-time job in itself. I wasn't not my laurels there, that's for sure. But no, I loved it and I enjoyed it and I wanted to do that, and I felt very lucky that I could. I know a lot of parents would love to do that and don't get the chance to do that. So um yeah, I loved having the opportunity to stay at home. But like that, when the kids got that bit more independent and were in school like all day, that's when I started doing these pottery classes. Because I was like, what do I want to do? And I just wanted to try something different. I've always kind of had a bit of like artistic interest flair, but never really did anything with it. And so like that, I found myself for the first time in years in this place where I had the opportunity to do what I wanted to do. So yeah, so I went and signed up to these pottery classes, and that was where this story began. It was just, I don't know, just luck or something from above. I don't know what it was that put me in that path, that direction, and um it stood to me so much in so many different avenues of my life. Like my pottery has just been the thing that's been great, and the fact that I have my studio now at home is amazing because I work loads, but if I need to be not working for a particular reason on a day, I get to do that. I'm completely in control of when I'm working, when I'm not working, So yeah, if anything comes up, I always, like, from being a stay-at-home mom, even though my kids are grown up, I still have that thing in me that I still want to be around, if I can be. And so I've always kind of worked from home. I've always worked around the family. My husband, he works full time, but I've always kind of had like part-time job doing this or part-time job doing that, but it would mainly be based around working from home or while he would be around. So the fact that I can do this now from home, it's just perfect. It's how I want it to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You've been able to do that, because I think a lot of people seem to struggle with the work-life balance if they've started a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Work-life balance it's what it's all about. And I think it's one to try and get sorted. I do think it's like been easier for me because my kids are older, and so like they're not really wanting to be hanging out with me all the time now. They want to do their own thing, which gives me like a lot more freedom to do what I want to do as well, you know. Um, but it's just nice having that balance that I can be here if they need me. And otherwise it's only out the back door to my shed. Do you know what I mean? It's literally just outside my back door. So um I'm just there. Do you know what I mean? If anybody needs me, I'm literally just there. Otherwise they just leave me to it, and I'm in there for hours, and they have great peace and quiet, and so do I. Yeah.
For them, having two parents who run businesses can surely only have a positive impact.
I hope so. I mean, my husband, he now works from home too. So he didn't always. He did work you know, out for other people previously, but when my youngest son was just well, actually he was only a few months old, um my husband was made redundant. Um and it was like, oh God. But he's always wanted to run his own business too. Um and so that was the kick up the backside. He said, that's what he says, it was the kick up the backside he needed to just do it. So like he was made redundant on Friday, and he was working for himself on Monday. You know, he's just and then from there he was freelancing, and then him and a pal of his came together and set up a business, and it's thriving now. Like, and they both now work from home as well. Like they both work from home, and they've got a load of staff that work for them from home um as well. So maybe that's someone else you could get on your podcast. Yeah, but they do they and so their company kept going through lockdown too, because they just cracked on. So like in our family, like Dan was working, my husband, he was working from home, I was working from home all through lockdown. We just carried on because we always worked from home, you know. So yeah, in that sense, nothing changed. It's just that the the lads were off school, and do you know what I mean, and online learning and all that kind of thing. Um, and the world was shut down, I guess. Do you know what I mean? But as regards work, we just cracked on. We just kept going. Yeah. So
What's one thing you wish you'd known when you began your business that you know now?
that's a very good question. I mean, I don't know, because for me, I just keep on going. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I guess it's to just, that would be me. My advice is don't give up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's easy to just hit a hurdle and go, oh no, I can't do this, you know. And it's uh, I don't know, I don't know if it's just who I am, or if it's just stubbornness. I don't know, but I just I think it's more so that I just don't want to not make pottery. You know, for me personally, I feel like I have found something that I'm so passionate about that I just will try to make it work, no matter what. Do you know, like no matter what comes up, I'll be like, well, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But for as for advice, it's I don't really know. I'm just like, just keep going. Just, you know, you're gonna have tough times there, and there have been tough times. I mean, there are times where I have questioned. Like for me, the toughest thing for me is my own self-belief. You know, I'm terrible at as much as I'm saying I won't give up and stuff. I do have huge imposter syndrome. I'm terrible for thinking I don't belong in this, you know, I don't deserve this, or I don't, you know, I shouldn't be.
It can be easy for doubt to creep into your mind at times.
Absolutely. And for every piece of praise you receive, all it takes is one comment negatively, and oh my goodness, you're just thrown completely, you know. And I have to say, I've been very lucky, very, very lucky. It's very rarely that that happens, but it did happen recently. and like it was a silly like it wasn't silly, it was a comment that was made, it was put out on Facebook by a lady who was a bit disappointed with a product. I've since sorted it, do you know what I mean? It wasn't actually a big issue and it was sorted, but it was that my heart just sank, because it was like you're being criticized, and you're like, oh God, I'm so rubbish. But like I just took it so personally. And but I know that I've heard other people on podcasts that I listen to, many of podcasts that I listen to, which they all say the same. It doesn't matter how much praise you get, all it takes is one negative comment and that's the one you zone in on. And I'd never really experienced it until recently, and that happened to me, and I had to remind myself of that actually you hear this from a lot of people, and people's podcasts like that I've listened to saying that are like famous people, and they're saying that they're going, oh God, that one comment. But it's upsetting, like it upsets you, and you're like, but that's where your doubt can creep in, and if you allow that to get in on you, you could throw yourself down into a dark hole, So advice I would give is to just don't dwell on the negatives, and try to take the positive, like try to look at the positives more, and go with that. It's but I do question myself and the whole comparison itis, of like, oh, everybody else is better at this than me. But at the same time, I do me, and that's all I can do. And I don't try to be like anybody else, and I don't try to make my products like anybody else. I just do my own thing and I make my own pieces, and that's all I can do. Do you know what I mean? And when I go out to markets and and on my social medias and stuff like that, when you get positive feedback about it, well then that's good, and that's all that you can do is just concentrate on that and try to just quash down the doubt. But I think that's just human. I mean, I don't beat myself up for feeling like that from time to time. It's probably not a bad thing. It keeps me hopeful. And yeah, it's I think there's nothing wrong with, questioning yourself, and it makes you just take a look at how you're doing and stuff like that. It's not bad. It's just don't dwell on it, I think, is the thing. Some people might, do you know what I mean, kind of go, oh, they kind of go too far into the comparison and going, I'm not good enough, and oh, my products aren't the same as somebody else's or whatever. But it doesn't matter, do you know what I mean? It's like, do you, and that's it. And like I find on social media, be yourself. It's like, don't try to be a different version of yourself. Be honest about who you are and how you're feeling. And if you're having a rubbish day, it's okay to say that. Do you know what I mean? And if you're going through a rough time, it's okay to say that, because people are just human and they actually like to relate to a human, not to a piece of a pottery. Do you know what I mean? They're like, it's the human behind the business that they're kind of wanting to get to know. So that's what I would say to people as well, is be yourself. Do you know what I mean? And put yourself out there, not just your product. Because I mean, I remember the first time somebody said to me, oh, put your face out there. I was like, I will not, no way. Am I? But it's like, well, how's anybody going to know who you are? You know, you have to um let people in a little bit. You don't have to get into the depths of your whole entire life if you don't want to, but just like kind of let people have a little bit of your background and who you are as a person, and stuff like that. I think it's important to, yeah, be yourself.
Yeah, it seems important not to put on a sort of fake facade and actually just be yourself.
Well, you're just not being yourself if you're doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's and then like that, what the person you meet at a fair is the person you see on Instagram with me. I'm not gonna be a different version of myself. And I mean, I remember as well people saying, oh, do videos and let people see your studio. And I was like, oh my God, it's such a mess. But it doesn't matter. It is what people don't need to see a fancy studio. It's a pottery studio. Of course it's going to be messy. It's clay. It's a messy form to work with. And people love it. If I put up a video of me making a piece of pottery, the feedback I get is great. People love to see how you do what you do. So that's advice I would give as well, is just let people see how you work, or where you work, or what you're doing. I mean, I know my business is product based, so like not everybody's business is, but even just a behind the scenes kind of snip of what you're doing, it lets people see. People love seeing behind the scenes. They like to see what's going on in the background, rather.
I'm sure the same principle applies to businesses that aren't product based as well, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just whatever you're doing. Yeah, just to let people have a little kind of a look at the inside, because it's easy to put polished pictures and, everything up. But yeah, I think it's nice to have both. You can have your nice photos and your nice pictures and everything, but it's nice to see the other side of things as well. Oh, that's what I think anyway. Yeah. And the feedback I get from people, like I've been out at fairs recently and people are coming up to me, it's commenting on videos I've posted about making stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, God, I forgot posted that. But it resonates with people and they do kind of feed it back to you that they enjoy watching pottery being made, because it's very relaxing to watch as well as it is to make.
Yeah, you mentioned you listen to a lot of podcasts, and those have helped you in your business journey. What podcasts do you listen to?
I do listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of them are, I actually listen to various, all sorts of different podcasts. I listen to Stephen Bartlett a lot. The Diary of a CEO. Um, yeah, I've been listening to loads and loads and loads of his. A lot of the podcasts I listen to with kind of like mental health as well. Do like, because I think Stephen Bartlett, it's business, but a lot of it I kind of think is quite mental health um relevant as well. And I like that. That's the kind of thing I like to listen to. I love listening to Blind Boy. Do you ever hear of him? Um Blind Boy Blind Boy Boat Club. He's an Irish guy. Very, very good. I would highly recommend everybody listens to his podcasts. Oh, he's got loads, like a huge back catalogue, and I've listened to every single one throughout lockdown. His are quite varied, but a lot of his are quite mental health. But like, um, it's just from his own point of view. Like but he also talks like about art. Um, he's very funny. He's very witty. Yeah, he's really interesting guy. Very interesting take on things, and he does things like what he calls hot takes, and he goes off on tangents about random stuff. um, Really interesting. I'd recommend listening to it. Blind Boy Boat Club is his podcast. Love that one. What else do I listen to? I listen to Fern Cotton's podcast, Happy Place. Um, and again, like, it's about looking kind of on the positives and deep diving, isn't it, into kind of positive mental health and stuff like that. But yeah, just listening to all the various different people's conversations and the different takes from people. I just love that. I just find that really interesting. I also listen to random podcasts, like, what's it called? What's it called? It's Joanne McNally and Vogue Williams. Oh, My Therapist Ghosted Me. I don't know if you've ever heard of that,
No, no.
but it's just a laugh. Do you know what I mean? They're just, Joanne McNally's an Irish comedian, and Vogue Williams is Irish as well. And yeah, my niece recommended it to me, and I was like, oh, sure, I'll listen to it one day, and I've just gotten stuck into that. It's just a giggle, you know. So like, I kind of mix them around. I'll listen to some serious ones, and then I'll go and listen to a funny one. And I also listen to Chris and Rosie Ramsey's podcast. Oh, what's that one called? Um, oh, what is their podcast called? It's Chris and Rosie Ramsey. Um, oh my goodness, what's it called? I don't know. Do you know the name of that
I
one?
don't, I don't, I don't.
Hang on now, and I'll find it. I do know it. Oh, Shagged, Married, Annoyed. That's what it's called. Married, Annoyed. That's what their one's called. And they've got a huge back catalogue as well, but it's hilarious. Like, it's so funny. They talk about the most randomest of things. But so yeah, I kind of comedy, kind of silliness mixed with mental health, mixed with business. That's kind of the podcasts that I've been listening to so far. Um, I don't listen to any of these murder mystery ones or anything like that. I'm not interested in that kind of thing. Um, but no, I find I like that when I'm at my wheel making and you're listening to these deep delve kind of mental health chats. It just, yeah, it gives you really good headspace, um, and time to think, and just I figure a lot of stuff out in my own mind while I'm making my pottery, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I process a lot, I feel, in my mind while I'm making my pottery, because you kind of get into a state of flow, is what I've heard some people refer it to. It's like when you're just in a steady flow and you're making, but it's almost like you're doing it without even realizing it, and your mind is just kind of, well, that's what happens for me anyway. I just feel like my mind is kind of just in a place of calm. And yeah, it's nice.
A question I had was, I didn't actually tell you I was going to ask you this. I just thought of it here. It was so 5 years from now, where would you ideally like your business to be?
Oh my goodness. I would love, what I would love to do is to have um a bigger studio, because what I've got is small. It's in my garden and it is small, and I don't have the facilities to have anyone come to my studio at my house. Um, we don't have access at the side of our house, so you'd have to come through our house to get to my studio. So a few people have asked me about doing like lessons and stuff, and I've always just had to say no, because um I don't want to have people walk through my family home to access my studio. I just think that's too much on my family, to ask, to expect them to have people randomly wandering through the house. So, and that's okay. I'm okay with that at this moment in time. I'm happy just doing my own thing, and concentrating on my own making just now. But I think down the line, I would absolutely love to have a bigger space. Um, and I guess that would mean either renting somewhere or investing in a property somewhere, um, and having the scope to be able to offer classes or taster sessions even. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't class myself as a pro at teaching, but I could give taster sessions and stuff like that, and I know other people who are doing it and they're doing fine. Do you know what I mean? And making a real go of it. And it's great to see that people who are at the same level as me are doing it. So um I could do it. I absolutely could do it. And I would love to be able to do that, because there's a lot of interest in pottery and in handmade pieces, and whether it be taster sessions on the wheel, or you can do hand building. You don't always have to use the wheel. You can make pottery by pieces of clay in your hands and stuff as well, with slabs of clay and stuff. So yeah, I think down the line that would be the dream. But the world is a funny place at the moment, and so I don't want to put myself in
Anything
positions.
can happen.
Yeah, I don't want to risk anything right now. I'm happy where I am. My studio in my garden is mine, and it's my safe space. um, and I get to crack on and make my pottery and sell my pottery and do what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm just going to have to watch this space over the next little while as to what goes on in the world. Um, I just don't know. It's too risky. For me, I feel right now to do that, to go in that direction, just with the cost of living and everything changing at the moment. I just want to not put pressure. It's been a busy few years so far. I mean, it's been crazy. Honestly, like I say, I never intended for this to happen so quickly. I've kind of started a business without realizing it and ran with it, and I don't really feel like I've come up for air yet. It feels like it's just been go 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 go, and yeah, which has been amazing. It's been really really good, but I don't want to rush into something um at this stage. Do you know what I mean? It's There's nothing wrong with for me right now with just carrying on at the pace I'm going just now. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying it, and just catch my breath a little bit and then decide where I want to go from here whilst still doing what I'm doing. So there is dreams, there's pipe dreams, don't worry, there is definitely um dreams in my mind to go further, but not immediately. Yeah, I'll just kind of give it a chance, give myself a chance, and
I think
take it
that
from there.
seems common between everybody that we've spoken to so far
Yeah,
is they don't know where the business is going to take them
yeah,
next,
yeah. I mean, they're
which is
like
one of the
that.
biggest motivators.
Yeah, yeah. Like you could do many things. Do you know what I mean? And I've seen other people doing online learning with, hand building and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm happy doing what I'm doing just now. And there are things I could go further with in the future and might do, but I'll make those decisions when the time is right. Yeah, I'm not going to jump into anything just for the sake of it, just to go, oh, and now look what I've done. Yeah, I'm happy where I'm at just now. Yeah.
Well, it's been great chatting to you.
Thank you very much. Good to chat to you too. My first
Yeah,
podcast.
there you go. There's always a first.
It's been
Yeah, yeah.
good.
And
Thank you very much.
I'm sure people listening have picked up different bits and pieces from it as well. So,
Yeah, hopefully.
mhm.
If not, if they hope they just enjoyed my
I
chat and my
think,
waffle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's hope you haven't lost us any listeners.
Yeah, I hope not. God. Oh goodness. But thanks for the opportunity to chat. It's been good.
But yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you.